As I've evolved from my humble beginnings, I've had the opportunity to be in a lot of rooms. The more people I've met, the more stories I've learned. Stories of passion, trauma, triumph, and resilience. These are the stories that inspire us, that remind us of the human spirit. We can all learn from the untold stories in each of us, regardless of where you come from. And now, I'm excited to share these stories with you. This is EPEC Conversations. Hello, everybody. Welcome. So happy to have you all in the space. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes. Happy Juneteenth.
This is a really special event that you all are at today. We're partnering. It's a threefold partnership between myself. I'm the host of EPEC Conversations. It's a podcast for everyday people. EPEC is spelled EPEC. It stands for Everyday People, Extraordinary Circumstances. So we tell human stories of passion, trauma, triumph, and resilience. And so much of the engagement that we do with folks is in these kinds of spaces where we're podcasting live. I had the wonderful pleasure and opportunity of meeting these brilliant women who you'll learn about in just a moment at an event that they hosted. So these are the co-founders of Untapped Investing. You're going to learn more about their organization if you're not already a friend and the work that they've done. And I met them both at an event that they hosted during NBA All-Star Weekend, and a time was had, okay? And then you'll hear from Marlon today, who is the third partner here, and he's gonna share a unique opportunity for those of you that are here, as well as in the virtual space, to invest in a really wonderful film opportunity, and he is from NextCube. So clap it up for yourselves for making it here. We're in studio. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right into the conversation because I know we have a lot to unpack today. So first, before we get into anything, because there's a lot to talk about, I want you guys to just explain to our audience here who you are, where you're from, and what brought you into the investing space. What is your story?
First, before we get started, I have to let you know we're missing one of our co-founders.
Yes.
She is sick today, and you probably will see in our logo that there are 3 pillars. And that is because there are 3 of us, and it's also because we stand for community, empowerment, and connection. So she's with us in spirit, but I just wanted to say her name, Felicia, because she is just not feeling as well. So I'm Atiya Jaques, and Mica and I have known each other since college. I will not say how long, but
Just the other day.
It's from chickens. But, you know, my background has really been focused on branding and marketing. And I just got to a point in my career where I wanted to use that for things that I thought were important. I had a career that was, you always think is important, but it's like, what would you do? You could do anything. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was how we invest our money and our dollars. And that should be going back to what you believe in and what your core values are. So I had some time and space after I left a very high-tech corporate world, and I came together with Mica, and we kind of just had that moonshot of what would we do if we could do anything. Mm-hmm. And there, Untapped was born.
Mm-hmm. For me, I'll just maybe add a little bit. For me, I was in my corporate tech world making good money for my immediate family. But how is that really helping, right, the broader community, the diaspora? And then I just started to look at, different investment opportunities and the private class most specifically, and got hold of a horrible stat that shocked me. But the fact that less than 2%, right, of venture capital goes to women-only founders, and less than 0.5% goes to Black founders. And how could that be? And so that really pushed me to start doing more angel investing, becoming a limited partner in some Black emerging fund manager funds. And I just started learning and thought, why not us? Right? Why not us? And so let's do that. Let's create our own private angel syndicate that is focused solely on investing in underrepresented founders. And this is not impact investing. Right, so we do expect a return, but yes, of course, if there is an impact associated, that is certainly what pulls us. We invest alongside all of our angels, and so there's the trust factor. Anyone that we have sourced and diligenced and we are bringing forward to our community, know and trust that we're investing too. And so we've done, all the things, the dotting of the I's and crossing the T's to make sure that this is a good one.
Yeah.
So,
And you talked,
talk a little bit on the stat that you gave, because that was in 2023, 2024. We're now in 2025, where we're talking about it is not okay to have purposeful investment to underrepresented people.
That's right.
So that stat is even worse. And so one of the things that I love about angel investing is we are not focused or we're reliant on people making decisions about their own money. And we have there's power in that. So I think we could turn that stat around, but I know that it's gotten worse and it probably will get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I appreciate you emphasizing that. And I think especially in light of a lot of the political landscape now, makes it even more almost dangerous to pursue, and risky is probably a better word, to pursue historically disadvantaged founders.
and you've seen that, right? A lot of pullback from many institutions,
Yes.
right? And so I love the fact that we are a private angel syndicate. So we've held to our thesis, no change.
Okay, what does that mean for someone who knows nothing about the investing space? What does it mean to be a private angel syndicate?
It means that every investor is individually using their own funds, so we are not pulling from any kind of institutional investors. If we were, then we would be beholden to their key performance indicators and financial metrics and the like, whereas we are setting our own.
Love that. And before we transition, because I want to talk about this space that we're in, but before we do that, Mica, you and I had a conversation and you were talking about all the things that your team had to do to ready yourself to even get into this space. Can you share a little bit about that journey from this is an idea, this is how we want to spend our time and our energy in this chapter of our careers to all right, now what do we need to do to actually be positioned to do this well?
Yes, so all of us, the three of us, have our own, corporate superpowers. And so this was brand new. So we better learn some more before we start taking our own money or asking others to do the same. And so, as mentioned, kind of learning by doing. And so became angels and other networks and syndicates. Became limited partners and other funds. One particular organization allowed for me to kind of learn the diligence process. And so you can sign up, if you will, and raise your hand to be the lead of a diligence for that particular organization. And then we all went through Black VC. So the three of us applied. And
Bay Area based Black VC, right? They're here in the Bay Area.
So that's the Black Venture Institute. At the time, it was a partnership between the Haas School of Business and Salesforce Ventures. And so it's for executive leaders, typically from corporate, it seemed, that were looking to learn more about venture capital. So it's a great program and it's an intensive. So I forget how many weeks total, but it's every day. And so the three of us went through that, cohort 7.
Actually, a funny story about us going through this. So we knew how hard it was to get in, right? We just left our corporate jobs and so we're sharing everything. So whoever gets in, they're coming back and sharing with the community everything you learn. And then we all got it. And 3 weeks later, we were already cooking up Untapped, and then 3 weeks later, we launched it.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important to emphasize that because people have ideas about what they want to start and don't really consider the kind of the in-between steps. So I appreciate that. Now we're in this beautiful space here at the Now Massage Boutique. Talk to us about this space that we're in and what you all are working on now.
So there's a through line here, right, about legacy and about things that we wanted to take ownership of that we weren't seeing and weren't able to really command in our corporate settings. And so one was, of course, prioritizing self-care and wellness. We were not doing that. It had taken its toll in a great many ways. There was one in particular, I remember, literally I had a pretty severe kind of illness and went to the ER, got back at 4 a.m, and then was on presenting on a global call that was at 7 a.m. That doesn't make sense. And so we were like, what should we do? Let's look for ways in which we can move from operator to owner, but doing so where we are prioritizing our self-care and our wellness for ourselves, but also for the community. And so that's where we did a bunch of diligence, but identified this particular brand as one that we really identify with because of its purpose, intentionality, which speaks to us. And so you are sitting in our first of 3 boutiques to spread that kind of wellness, but also, back to some of the stats we were saying earlier, we can do the opposite of what's happening today, where there's a weaponization of D, E, and I. You can't even say the letters. We can do the opposite. We can hire who we want to hire. We're a small business, right? And so proudly, our entire staff is women or underrepresented groups. So that's us. That's the now.
Yeah. What are you most excited about in this space?
Energy. I think people feel it when they come in. You have a sense of wellness and energy, and that it's your space. I think the things that kind of surprised me were the team that we hired and everything that they brought into it. There's a little vestibule here, what we call a transition room, before you get your massage. And I overhear conversations where I can hear someone say, that was the best massage of my life. Or you have no idea what I was going through today, and you changed. Like, so I was hearing these conversations with the massage therapists and people that are coming into the space. And I'm like, that's why we're here. And we're not here every day, right?
Yeah.
So we are really starting something and inspiring others to kind of make it their own. When you walk into these doors, we have a decal that says live in the now, and it really is about being full of purpose and intent and not taking tomorrow for granted. So that's what we want you to feel in this space.
I love that. And it seems like, so this is 1 year. So let's clap it up for them having made 1 year in business as Black female investors. It seems like y'all are on a trajectory to give yourself a birthday gift every year, because it's to start a whole nother engagement. Why was now a good time to make this investment?
I think the time that we're in, kind of back to the start, there's a lot of entry-level jobs that are really going away, but back to the trades, right? And to the hospitality space, which really can't be supplanted. And frankly, in this digital age, there's a greater longing and desire for place-based community, right? And so that's the gap that we're filling.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can tell you from being in here and just doing the walkthrough, Danny and I had a chance to walk through. People look happy. They look like they can be themselves, which I think is really important. I want to talk about some of your portfolio. So you all have now invested in 7 minority-owned companies. Talk to me about some of what's exciting you right now about some of the companies that you've invested in.
Well, we've got some of our founders here celebrating today. So maybe I'll just touch on, since Marquesa Finch is in the front row here, so period. And so one of the amazing things when you talk about this notion of representation and making sure that we are providing that I believe in you capital, but also bringing more folks like us into the funding space. And that's what Perium is all about, democratizing this particular asset class and making it accessible, doing it in a way that you can use your platform. It's kind of like a social media format, and so easy to use, easy to learn about investments that would really speak to you. And then in addition to that education, jump in, right? And so try it. And one of the things that we love also about Marquesa, when you talk about both, you're looking for something that's going to perform well, but also the impact. And Marquesa was instrumental in bringing forward and getting AB 54 signed into law here in California, which requires all venture capital firms who operate in California to report the demographics of their founders.
Thank you for that. Yeah, let's clap that up. It's an important word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to highlight Esther Hill. We actually have Fifi and Dr. Layla also.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had, actually Mica and I, to take a step back, Mica and I had been mentoring founders through another venture capital firm. And so I heard their story and was just profoundly engaged with their commitment to maternal health, and especially for maternal health for Black women to increase and make our outcomes better. I had also struggled with getting pregnant, and the week that I quit a corporate job that I was at for 15 years, I got pregnant. And so I had just this longing for what could we do, especially two women who were putting health and tech into making outcomes better. So I chased them for a year, all the way down to Marcus Vineyard and back. And we finally were able to add them to our portfolio and really get funding.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so
And the UI was gorgeous. Yeah.
Amazing. Day one.
Yeah.
There's been not a moment that I did not love everything that they were doing. But their personal stories all the way to the actual solving the technology for doctors as well as for patients.
Yeah.
And there's very few people that are solving that.
And we know Black maternal health is incredibly important, right? So that's some incredible work that you all are doing. Speaking of which, how do you decide who you're going to invest in and who you're gonna invite to your portfolio? What are the things that you look for? If some of you all are founders in the room or have worked with somebody who wanted to start something and get something off the ground, what would you say to that founder to ready themselves for the right investment opportunity?
You have to have, or we have seen kind of a barrage of folks that just aren't really prepared. So they don't have their pitch together. They don't have their data room in order. Also, we care about kind of the personal connection to whatever solution that you've anchored to. That's really important to us. And then how are you demonstrating that you're surrounding yourself with the folks who can, complement, fill in any gaps. So who are your advisors? And then it's just back to the founder themselves. And so do we feel that fire, that they're really gonna get it and go after it in a big way? Sometimes that can be demonstrated through, someone who's a serial, founder, and so they've had a prior success. But you can oftentimes just know that from their personal story and how they are conveying and sharing that. So it's people.
Yeah. I think I would add to that because the founder piece is why just get inspired by their drive to solve problems and that something that they can uniquely solve. So I love that. The other piece, I think for us too, because coming from big tech, we kind of said, what are the areas where we can use our superpowers to also help that? So a lot of them have also been in complementary businesses that we can either get other professionals or executives, either from a funding perspective or a guidance perspective or advisory.
Or even, potential customer or advisor just across our respective networks.
Right.
Yeah.
So part of it is we look at where we think the businesses can go, but also what can we also add to help their businesses grow.
And so you just market size, but also the ability to scale. And so I think that's why most of the companies in our portfolio, albeit are from a variety of industries, there is some kind of tech component in pretty much all of them.
Let's hone in on that. So you all have invested in 7 companies and they're across many different sectors. What's the strategy there? How do you decide which sector you're going to add to your portfolio? What's kind of the law of diversification here for you?
I think a lot of folks will, focus and they hone their own craft for, that particular space or industry. And I think we've aimed to be agnostic by design. That helps with the diversification, frankly. And I think it also is just more interesting, for us. And so there's an opportunity for a mutual exchange of value and learning by doing it that way.
Love that.
Yeah. I think some of our background is just either where we're passionate or we think that we have value to add. Felicia, who's not here, who also has FinTech and sports. I also have sports in my background as well. So a lot of it too was a gravitation to things that we love and had passion and experience in, where we thought we could add value.
That's important. I really appreciate that. Like, you don't have to do things that are not aligned, right? Like, it seems like everything the choices that you're making are in alignment with who you are inherently. And I think that's really important because I feel like for a lot of Black leaders or women of color, people of color show up in spaces where they're constantly having to adapt to the environment that they're in. And you are in a position at this stage of your lives where you're choosing to actually make the decisions that you make work for who you are inherently. And I think that's reflected in all the business that you're doing. So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like as Black female founders in the angel investing space? How do you show up in certain rooms? How do people receive you? What are some of the things that you notice in the space as investors?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me is we didn't see people that looked like us. So one of the things I loved about Black VC was we got to get on the call every day and we saw people who looked like us. So we actually got to start from a place of empowerment so that when we do walk in those spaces, in those VC capital, I also worked some time at Google Ventures as well. And you have that confidence because you're few and far between. But representation matters. So I think when there's more of us in those spaces, other, especially younger people, can see it and say, we can do that. And what I love about some of the younger investors is they're okay to learn as they're going. And we were like, we want to learn. And it took us a few decades to get there, where I have like a younger sister, and at 20, she's like, of course I'm going to invest. There's nothing that's standing in their way. So I just want more of that, more representation where it's where it's unusual that you wouldn't see a Black woman leading a venture capital firm.
You really do need it across all parts of the ecosystem. And so we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our first portfolio company, COI Energy. So Salisa Berrien is the founder CEO. I actually met Salisa through another organization. There was a team of folks doing diligence, and not me, but somebody else who was leading the diligence team, who is part of the, I guess, so-called majority, just questioned, was the solution one that was hers, or where did she?
So speak a little bit about what problem she was solving now. What's her business?
So COI Energy is an energy exchange platform. So it allows for businesses that have underutilized capacity to actually sell that to another business who is in need. And so it's an exchange. And Salisa has done an amazing job and very clever to make sure that the utilities do get a percentage. And so there's a co-opetition, right? And so it's an amazing energy exchange platform. And so great concept. And she's got, customers and doing quite well, landed some big ones here in Silicon Valley. But yes, the person who was leading diligence made some comments in email, which she then actually saw. And so she said, not all money is good money. I'd like to withdraw. Then when we were starting Untapped, I said, we need, where should we source? And I said, I have one I want to invest in. I'm going to reach out to her. And I am one of those, I will cold call anyone. like on LinkedIn. And so I reached out, and that's how we actually connected. We went through the full diligence process with our more equitable lens. And of course, this is viable and one that we jumped on and brought forth to our community at our inaugural Juneteenth 2024 event. Yeah, and we actually, in many ways, should be applauding Salisa because she was really the accelerant in our timeline for launching Untapped.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so she also has a nonprofit foundation and does annual retreats, Thunder and Founder retreats in Martha's Vineyard every August. When she heard our story, she said, love for you all to be the keynote speakers. And so we said, absolutely. And then privately we said, well, we can't be in Martha's Vineyard talking about what we're gonna do. We have to be there saying what we have done. And so we backed up from August and said, well, we have to have a launch, we have to have folks pitch, and we have to close all before August. And so to be intentional, to be purposeful, when should we launch? Juneteenth.
Freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, let's clap it up for that, because sometimes you need a little bit of fire. So for somebody who doesn't know how to enter into this space of investing, maybe they want to help businesses grow. Maybe there's a personal story they feel connected to, but they don't really know what the on-ramp is, or maybe they feel a little intimidated, because we'd be remiss if we also didn't talk about the money trauma that Black people experience when it comes to business and investing and each saving. What does that look like in this space? How do you encourage folks who have not, either they don't come from a family that talks about money, maybe they don't have a collegiate degree, or maybe didn't study finance? What is their on-ramp into a space like this?
I mean, that's why all of our experiences have some educational component, and we're really careful to create a safe space where folks can feel free to ask a question like, I don't know what that is, explain that to me. We went through that learning process too, and so I think that's something that is really key and important. And so we have been, sharing back out to our syndicate, tutorials, other learning opportunities as well, for folks who want to, get better versed. But it is important for folks to not be afraid of what you don't understand, at least seek to understand. Do understand the risks, though,
Right.
and put that into perspective with what makes sense for you. Yep.
I think the other is we also share a lot of our story, having invested in more formal ways of investing. We're thinking about how do you start diversifying your portfolio, and what does that even mean? Venture capital, it felt like people were tapped on the shoulder to understand and to learn. There's no clear school for it. And so one of the things that we said is we want to get all of our friends who are executives who probably weren't taught, and create a safe space to ask questions that you just could never ask before. I think one of the first things I did was I called my friends at Google Ventures. If you wanted to start, what are the 5 places that you would go to? And you were able to actually find out from someone who was doing this as a living to say, this is where I would start. And Mica talked about us doing cold calls. I have never in my life done cold calls. But for us starting our business and our group, I was cold calling, and I couldn't believe the support.
That's true.
People on the caliber of people who were answering calls and were like, I'll do anything. Didn't know us from Adam. I'll do anything to
Yeah, Cherry Rock Capital goes on. It goes on and on. Yeah.
So you got just called random investors or other people in the space? Or?
Random. Sometimes there was a connection.
Yeah, okay.
But it was 30 years into your career where you know a lot about a lot of things, and then there's this area that you know nothing about, and to say, teach me. And I don't know, and just the willingness of support, I think, made us actually feel like we're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah, support and community, I feel like, go a really long way. Okay, so this is great. So when you think about the future, so we got 7 in the portfolio now.
Actually, Joanne, if you could advance, and then we can just show some stats about our progress.
Yeah.
So I think it's one more slide or 2 more. Yep. So here you go.
Wow.
That's where we are today. Yeah.
Yep. So 1 year, 7 startups, and $700,000 raised for these 7 startups. Can we give that a super round of applause? That's major. Did you have a goal when you started this? Okay, so what was the goal that you set for yourself a year ago?
Well,
and did you meet that goal?
We would have really loved to get that 1 mil.
Okay.
But
It's never too late.
it's never too late.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Get it in before June. And we do have it. We will be, in the
Yeah.
second part of today, a one-of-a-kind investment opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next for Untapped? And so 365 from now, what are you hoping to achieve, knock out, accomplish? What do you want to see?
I think it's, furthering, to build out the portfolio. Our aim, was to eventually evolve from a syndicate to a fund. And so maybe it's, some kind of combination of both, because I do think that the build community, the education piece is still really needed on the funder side. And so perhaps that becomes, I don't know, some other type of foundation of some sort. And then, we launch an actual fund.
I love that. Before, we're going to open up for some questions to the audience, but before we do that, I really want you to speak to the importance of team building. So all 3 of you have a very specific skill set, and you decided, I do this thing, you do this thing, you do this thing. We can Dragon Ball Z this and really make some impact, right? But then there's also the layers of, okay, well, let's get Marlon in the fold for this thing, or let's get so-and-so in the fold for that thing. Like, you all have been strategically aligning yourself with partners. Can you speak a little bit about what it looks like to incubate yourself in a community, to either cultivate the community or find the folks that would amplify your mission?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think in the early days, because we all had lanes, but we realized that the collective power, you actually end up starting to get good at everything. So, we even tell the team here at the Now, like, you are all brand builders. You are all stewards of the brand. Even though you may be a massage therapist and a healer, we're all building this brand together. And I think that's what I've actually loved about the partnerships that we have been intentional about building. Some of them complement, but at the same time, it really is about the superpowers coming together to make that power even greater than what you could do by yourself.
So, what about you, Mica? What would you say to that?
I think, what we've seen is just this overwhelming support that we're getting from the Black venture capital community, as evidenced by, Marlon and Terrence, who are with us today. So that came from a warm introduction. And so there's some deal flow, share that's happening there. And the same is true for several other folks that we engage with. And so there really is power in community. And so our kind of tagline is progress is possible with both community and capital. You need both.
Thank you so much. Let's clap it up for these brilliant women. Mica, Atiya, Felicia, who was with us in spirit. What questions do we have?
Yeah, it's more about the last year. Has your thesis changed with the market dynamics? And I know you want core recent growth, just to make this wonder how you adjusted to the massive amount of change that's happened in the industry. One with metrics for startups, valuations, and then the types of companies that are being built and how quickly they're getting built.
It's so interesting. We have had mentors who are, leads at venture capital funds, and we have seen what they have gone through in this year. And they've actually said to us, you're in a great place because you can still align your dollars with your purpose and what you believe in. And they have not been able, honestly, to have that same. So I feel for them, even though we aspire, to have a fund one day, there is something about the flexibility and there's something about our investment thesis and our purpose that has not changed from day one. We just want to make bigger impact. So I think that's the conundrum, right? To be able to grow and make bigger impact, but to also stay true to the values and the purpose and the intent of how you were founded.
Good. Yeah. It's a great question. What other questions do we have?
I think we're ready to hear about new ideas.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Well, if we don't have any questions, we're going to transition because we have a special opportunity that Marlon is going to talk about. And so let's go ahead and clap it up again for this segment. We'll take a minute to transition.
Yeah, let me just share with folks, and maybe we'll just advance to the, yep. And so maybe I'll do a little share. So there's a little bit of background because we've mentioned Marlon's name a couple of times,
Yes.
and Terrence is also on the line here. But it's so amazing how there is this kind of through line and connection. And so through a completely separate connection that both Marlon and I have, she realized, let me introduce the two of y'all. And we both live in the same city, which is not that many of us live in that city. Yeah. And so, any case, so Merlene actually introduced me and Marlon. And I think we met for I can't remember if it was for coffee or on the phone or any case, but we hit it off immediately. We have very, NextCube and Untapped Investing have similar theses, and so you'll hear that in a moment. But then when I heard about this 6-part HBCU docuseries that's talking about Black founders and Black funders, because again, it's across the ecosystem that's really key. I said, that's exactly what we want to bring forth to our angel community as another, type of investment opportunity, another variety and diversification. And so, Marlon, let's get you mic'd up over here.